And welcome to the 10-Minute Life Coach Program. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I'm a personal development coordinator, and I assist people ready for improvement in developing their personal and professional goals into tangible, focused, and achievable plans of action. And this podcast, one tool I use to complete my mission. What do we do in this podcast? We give you a 10-minute life lesson that you can take along with you as soon as we're done with the lesson and apply it to whatever you have going on. You can use it to improve something you're doing for your personal life or something professional just as well. Now, sometimes we'll have a message that you look at it and you'll see it's something that you're already working. So that is proof. That is some insurance to you that what you got going on, the plan of action you're already working towards, is a very solid plan of action that just needs a little more time, a little more seasoning, and a little bit of luck maybe to make everything fall into place. For more information about this podcast or how I can help you improve in your work, check out the website 10minutelifecoach.com. Today I want to talk about working and how work is sort of a very interesting aspect of your life, because without work, you usually have no ways of paying for things, no ways of surviving and having things to live off of. You can't pay rent with just love. You can't attract a mate by just having affection. It usually takes some sort of monetary something to get some sort of physical stuff to live and to interact with, which means some sort of job that pays you in cash, or if you prefer being paid in sandwiches. We joke about that in radio a lot, that often we're paid in food because food just kind of shows up and we get to eat it at the station. But work is a necessary evil, if you will, because to do work, or a job, is a necessary evil because a job is work that pays for something. Now, work, the actual thought of work, is anytime you put effort into something, you're putting some work in. So what we get confused is the idea that work is a hard thing. It's a thing we're supposed to hate. It's a thing we're not supposed to get any pleasure out of. When in actuality, the things that you enjoy doing usually require some bit of effort, some bit of work put into it. If you are an athlete and you like to perform in whatever sport you want to, it takes practice, it takes patience, it takes study, it takes work to do it. Now, whether you are a professional athlete getting paid millions of dollars to do that sport, or a rec league person just using it as a way to relieve some stress and maybe show off that you still got some skills, it's still work. It's still effort. There's still practice and work that must go into the work to make it happen. Whether it's a big paycheck or not is not the point. There is some effort that must be done to make the work happen. Now, when we're talking about actual working work or the job you go to, there's also the issue of people thinking they have to hate their jobs. A occupation is a thing that must be despised because we should be free to do whatever our passions allow us to do. The problem is, one, our passions usually involve a bit more work than we like to think, and two, sometimes the work to do our passions isn't something that's going to pay the bills. I'm very passionate about these audios I do and working a lot of audio things for my side business as well as my main job in radio. But the audio in my main job in radio has a purpose where it actually pays into my funds for my personal life and some of it into my side business, which allows me to do this as a promotion. The 10-Minute Life Coach famously is not sponsored and famously makes no money, so I can't say this is going to help me make any money or pay any bills. But it does do lots to promote my message, help people out in general, and bring in clients for the side business. That's what it does. So as much as I love doing this, this is actually work, and it's work that I love because of the effort put into it. It's also akin to the work I do on an actual radio station. The only difference is that gets paid by some corporate person who writes me a check every month. The payoff is a bit more complicated and takes a little time for something to come to me. The payoff is in the response from you people out there. Sometimes the payoff is for side business that it promotes, but it's not. No one's cutting me a check for doing the 10-Minute Life Coach. And hopefully I'll have ways to promote this so it stays that way. No one has to cut me a check so that I can keep doing this podcast. For you out there, whatever it is you do for work, you should have some sort of proficiency in it. If you do it long enough, you should get good enough at it to get it done. If you're not good at it, that's one problem you have right there. That may be why you don't like what you're doing, because what you're doing is not something that's a natural talent. It doesn't have to be a passion, doesn't have to be something that drives your inner being and makes you feel at your core you're doing the greatest good for God, but it should be something that you can do at a repeated basis without very much extra mental effort or physical effort, unless the job itself actually requires exertion of effort and force, and then, well, more power to you. But if it's something that you can do with some proficiency and it's fairly easy to do in a normal day, not necessarily that it's an easy job, but it's easy enough that you get in, you get to work, and you can do it without having to learn a lot of things every single time you're at it, then you should get some sort of proficiency at it. Now, whether it's enjoyable or not is all up to you, but you have to think of your work, the work that you're doing, the work that's paying the bills, as the work that's funding whatever passion thing you want to do on the back end. Now, if you take that mindset that you do some work to pay the bills, to fund the passion work, the artwork, the side work, then you can probably get a better existence of the two in themselves. For example, back to the basketball guy. Just say you did not make it to the pros, you're not getting $1 million contract and not playing for the NBA. But because you have a nice solid day job with great contacts and, of course, a good schedule and a very good paycheck, you are able to schedule and make time to coach a youth basketball team. That way, your passion in basketball and teaching gets funded by what may not be your passion, but something you're fairly good about, and that is the job you have going on. Now, there's a big grumbling going on right now about the non-use of passion as a focus towards your career goals, which is something that, every so often there's a cycle in the guru land. And for a while, it was follow your passion. For a long while, it was follow your passion. And now the popular wisdom is not so much follow your passion, but follow what actually gets you paid and let it help pay for that passion. Don't let your passion drive you into the poorhouse, essentially. So work itself is not bad. In fact, work is great. Work is awesome. Work is something that shows that you are achieving things. And it just so happens that work, in a sense, when we take it as something that pays our bills, becomes a downside because it's time we're not doing something else. You could be fishing when you're instead of going to work, but unless you're fishing enough to catch enough fish to feed yourself on a consistent basis, it's not going to help out. And at some point, you may get tired of fish and want something else. You have to put in the mindset that work is a good thing. Work is a great thing. You doing work is awesome. You have to do work to show people of the generations coming up that work is valuable. Work is necessary. You must do some work in order to earn some time for play. You must put up some protection in order to be protected from the future. It's just like the ant and the grasshopper. The ant did all he could to gather up food for the winter, while the grasshopper played all summer. And come winter, the ant was prepared, and the grasshopper came knocking at the ant's door to be taken care of because he didn't take care of himself when the time allotted. So, what is the problem with work? It depends on what your problem is on working. Sometimes you're just lazy and don't want to do any work. Sometimes you don't have the capacity to do the work that you once did easily, and that's just something that's really sad for people who fall out of favor. We think about athletes, I bring that up again, a lot of chances when they lose their physical capacities, but also just older people who are used to doing things with their hands as they get older and don't have the capacity to do things as well. The work they loved is no longer a working job that loves them. But while you do have the capacity to do that work, make sure you're getting your work done. You're focused on your energies on working. And don't be so quick to jump off the work bandwagon to jump on the passion bandwagon, because passions cost money as well, and so does rent, and so does food, and so does entertainment. So the work you do will help fund your entertainment, your housing, your food, and yes, keep your passion going. Don't let your passion be forced to raise you and keep food in your mouths of you and your kids. Let your work do that, and let your passion continue to be the passion that you work through. Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. We enjoy every single one of you, and we love hearing your comments and what we're doing. So if you're new to the podcast or just haven't got around to it yet, go to wherever you get your podcast from. If it's iTunes, if it's Stitcher, if it's Spreaker, if it's Google Play, wherever you listen to them. A lot of people just stream them now. But go to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a rating and a review so that other people can see how well we're doing. And, of course, we can see how well we're doing for the podcast. It helps out greatly to know we're getting the feedback. Feedback directly via the website, 10minutelifecoach.com. Also, email me at jclevelandpayne@gmail.com. You can directly send me messages there. And, of course, for more information about other projects I have going on, you can go to jclevelandpayne.net, my main website. Also, email address is info@jclevelandpayne.net for that website as well if you would get in contact with it for there. I asked you to leave a message, leave a review, leave a rating. Make sure you subscribe as well so that we have you directly in the feed so that when a new episode pops up, every Monday, pops up around midnight or so, Central Time, it goes live in the feeds. You can get a chance to get it directly and listen to it whenever you want to. And if you get behind a little bit, listen to a couple back episodes. I'm sure you will enjoy what's going on. We are proud to be going strong with this thing. We passed 100 episodes a few episodes ago. So we are in a rare form of a podcast that has made it this far. Yes, we did pod fade for about 4 years, but we are at a great milestone and want to keep going and can only do that with your help. Thank you so much for that. And so with all that said, I'm going to say thank you one more time and remind you to join us again next week for another edition of this podcast for the 10-Minute Life Coach.